Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for staying for the last panel. As they say, best for last. So it's my real pleasure today to be on stage with an amazing panel of people. And we're going to talk about how we can tell a compelling story for FinTech. Right. So I am joined by Alex Cockburn, series executive producer at the BBC StoryWorks commercial. Hi, Alex. Lucas Germanos, VP Communications at Zopa Bank. Hi, Lucas. And Yasmeen Jaffer, President of Commercial Operations at Markaaz. Hi, Yasmeen. So just a few words before we start. So what is this panel about? It's about, as I said, telling a compelling story for FinTech. And today actually marked the launch of the very first video of the third series that we've done with the BBC StoryWorks team, who I believe are sitting here in the audience. Hi. And the session really explores how we can, how storytelling brings to life the real-world impact of FinTech. And I just want to give you some stats, just for everybody to understand the real impact of these stories that we're telling with the BBC StoryWorks team for the third time in a row. So in the previous series, we had actually 6 million global reach. That was the reach on a global scale, so not just UK, but globally. Almost 40 million impressions across social media from previous BBC StoryWorks series called Innovation in Finance. And just a reminder, we had 3 series. The first one was called Crisis to Catalyst, and it was during the pandemic. It was an amazing, amazing work. The second one, which actually launched on this stage 2 years ago, 2024, at the Global Summit, called Wire Differently, which actually I loved. But I think that the best, as I say, is this one. It's coming up, and it's called Value Generation. And we're going to explore why we decided to go with this title and what value generation means for the panel today. Okay, so now that I gave this little introduction, why don't we go across the panel? So Jazz, why don't you tell us about yourself and Markaaz in general?
Sure, thank you, Roberto. So, Jaffer. I started my career in financial services probably about 20 odd years ago. I happened to be around at the time of the crash, and that's how I landed in RegTech. But in some ways, I was fortunate and managed to build platforms and solutions. And I think some of the biggest milestones that I hit was really around the people that I met, the relationships that I built, and that's really what grew the platform that I had built back then, which today is about 150 million in ARR, with huge adoption of players from the industry, banks, asset managers alike. I've since then built a few startups, sold a few of them, and I joined Markaaz a year ago. In fact, my first day at Markaaz was at IFGS last year while I was here. So mission for me now at Markaaz is to build exactly what I did before for the SME world. We don't just focus on the SMEs, but we have the largest business intelligence platform for data, legal entities, of 500 million records that we maintain and manage on a global basis. We cover 200 countries. I talk about SMEs because for me, I find that they are the underserved market that out there in the industry, and there's not a lot of data, it's fragmented, and because of that, it's difficult for SMEs today to bank, to trade, to go cross-border. So that's what we are passionate about at Markaaz. I'll stop there and I'll talk a little bit more about how we bring that to life in value generation.
Thank you so much, Jazz. And Lucas, tell us about yourself and your work at Zopa, an incredible company.
Thank you, Roberto, and what a great panel. Thank you for having us today. I'm Lucas Germanos. I'm the Vice President of Digital Bank Zopa, responsible for communications and external affairs. Before that, I primarily handled communications for Silicon Valley Big Tech and their EMEA operations. Zopa is now not as small as we used to be a couple of years ago. We have 2 million customers. We have 6.8 billion pounds in deposits, and we offer an unrivaled ease and value to our customers. Part of my job at Zopa was to craft the new narrative as Zopa transitioned from a peer-to-peer lender to a fully regulated bank, and also the profitability narrative of Zopa. We've just entered our 3rd year of profit with 65 million pounds underlying profit announced a couple of weeks ago.
That's amazing. Thank you, Lucas. And Alex, tell us about yourself and the incredible work that you do at BBC StoryWorks.
Okay, thank you, Roberto, and thank you for having us here. So I'm an exec producer at BBC StoryWorks Commercial Productions, and I'm overseeing value generation, as Roberto has already said, our third series for Innovate Finance. So in series 1 and 2, we had over 40 films, and we're really excited to, again, be able to offer brands the opportunity to have a global reach on bbc.com. The series will launch in September this year, and we're right in the midst of it at the moment. We're writing, we're editing, we're filming, but there are still opportunities to join us. And so what's different about us is that we don't just do straightforward brand films. We are very human-centric. So we are branded content, but we're documentary in style. So we really lean into human-centric storytelling. We focus on the people behind the products, and we really bring them to life within our films.
That's amazing. Now, I'm very excited. I don't know if you spotted the video already during the lunch break on the big screens, but I'm very excited to actually ask the AV team if we can show the very first, kind of a section of the first clip from the Innovate Finance video to everybody.
I think the UK is by far the best place in the world to start, build, and scale a fintech business.
I think what the UK fintech sector has done a fantastic job is continually focusing on the customer.
The traditional bank has to raise the bar and develop more digital position. At the end, it's all in the benefit of customers.
And that's just 30 seconds. So if you want to watch the whole video, is on the Innovate Finance website. I believe there is a slide that's it's got a QR code coming up, so you can scan the QR code and watch the full video. It's a 5-minute video. Before we go to the next question, I mean, this video is amazing. You should really watch it. It's very well done. A shout out to Laura Abrahams, who is in the audience, who actually produced this video. So well done, Laura. It's amazing. And I'm very excited about this year's series. The next question is basically understanding what value generation is and what it means for the panel today. And actually, I just want to say this panel is, I think it's really the best of the session because it's really a panel for marketeers and communicators. And so it's only the one, the best one for me as a marketeer. So I'm very excited to have you on
I agree.
stage. Yes.
I agree wholly.
Excellent. Thank you. Good. And 5:30 we got the drinks, so we're gonna make it so everybody can go and enjoy the drinks. So let's maybe start with Lucas. From your perspective, what does value generation mean to you?
So I think value generation is this new idea that companies have to embrace, putting customer first, where you re-architect product ideation to really offer true value that is meaningful in the way it comes to you as a customer. So, for example, when we launched the Zopa's Biscuit current account, and I can come back to that in a while to explain why we called it Biscuit, we thought about value from the very beginning. So Biscuit offers a market-leading 7.1% interest rate on the regular saver. It offers 2% on cashback for day-to-day expenses, and also 2% on the outstanding balances that you hold in the current account. And so it's this way of thinking through value that differentiates companies nowadays. In fact, in 2025, looking at our annual accounts, Zopa distributed £220 million back to its savers and its current account holders. And so it is this set of value principles that, when combined with the ease you would expect from a digitally native proposition, those two things combined, that creates really meaningful impact for our customers. And we see this in the Net Promoter Score, the industry's benchmark for customer satisfaction. Zopa has a 75 NPS. To compare that with most average high street lenders, you should look around 30, maybe 25 NPS, right? So that immediately comes back to the businesses thinking through these lenses.
It's amazing. So value as serving your customers when they most need it. So that's probably one of the aspects. From your perspective, Alex, from a creative perspective, because you're at BBC StoryWorks, what is value? What does value mean to you? Value generation.
So I think on this series, value really means progress and celebrating the people and the products who are making progress in this space. And we know that there's a lot of interest in financial technology. For example, we know that over 3 million people a month visit bbc.com actively looking for stories, films, articles on finance and financial technology. But what's really interesting, and I think what shows the value in it, is that people are engaging with it. So on our last 2 series, we had over 7 million engagements, and 500,000 people chose to spend time on the series and really actively engage with it and sit with it. So I think value from the series point of view is progress, but those stats really show how interested people are.
And these are people not just UK-based, global. This is a global audience we're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
why our series is global. We're filming all over the world because it is a global, bbc.com is global.
Amazing. And yes, from your perspective and president of commercial operations, what does value generation mean to you and Markaaz?
We're always looking for ways to create more value for our customers, and ultimately, and I focus again on SMBs. There are the invisible client base. You know, they're not found, they're not discoverable by a lot of the banks because their data is so bad. I'll give you an example. I recently went to the Small Business Britain graduation, and I met a lot of the UK businesses that I've set up. And one of the things they said to us is they struggle to even understand financial literacy. They understand that how to set up a bank account, how to run their accounts. They are partnering with, I believe it was Xero, who are helping them on training these programs to help them to get through how they run their business. And it really inspired me, and I took that back to our team, and I said, we need to find ways to help our markets to have a frictionless experience when they get onboarded with banks, when they go through trading, how they deal with cross-border. And that's something that at Markaaz we take quite seriously and are building solutions and products for them. To your point, we put the outcomes of our customers first and build products and solutions that will help them. And what I will say is people buy. They have problems, they need to build products and solutions that they need to buy, but they buy from people. So the storytelling is such a big piece of that. If they believe in the person they're buying from, they'll buy. There's so much in the market today, there's so much competition. What really draws people in are buying from someone that they trust.
That's a great point. So touch upon relationships, mentorship with SMEs. And I believe you're mentioning this in the social clip for Markaaz that I asked the AV team to show for us.
I'm Jaffer. I'm the President of Commercial Operations at Markaaz. The biggest wins in my career were not the deals or the milestones, it was the relationships. Mentors, colleagues and clients have played a big part in my journey. One of the best bits of advice a mentor once gave me was always nurture your network and have trust at the foundation of it. Verifying who you work with isn't simple, and that's why we built Markaaz, to solve the trust gap. Markaaz helps you find that trust through solving the data gap and accelerating processes. Through our directory of 500 million global business records, we give enterprises the ability to onboard, verify, and continuously monitor their businesses. Having people and systems that you can rely on is crucial at any stage in your career. And in my experience, building solid relationships you can trust is what helps you to scale.
That's great. Building relationships you can trust. That's amazing. And just a social clip. So I'm very excited about the full video when it's available. I'm also excited to just name some of the companies that actually have joined the series this year. I don't know if we have a slide for everybody to see. It's Markaaz, Revolut, of course, Zopa, Modular, University of Oxford, Pay, XDC, Swift, Payhawk. And that one in pink, I can't read it from far, but it's Sunshine Kittens. That's it.
Kittens.
Sunshine Kittens. Now, if you want to see, first of all, the video of Finance that we showed the first 30 seconds, that's the QR code. And also, you can fill a form where you get notifications from the BBC StoryWorks team when all the other videos are available. So this is very exciting. So thank you very much for showing this beautifully designed slide. Last question for everybody. So now we're looking ahead, looking at the future. There's been a lot of conversations today at the Global Summit about technology, AI. So this conversation is more about what do we need to focus on from our perspective as a marketeers and communicators to tell a more compelling story and improve maybe relationships with our customers that you mentioned. Shall we start with you, Yas?
Yeah, sure. I think all our clients are different. That we have different archetypes, we have different needs. All of them will resonate with a different story. Even if it's the same product, it's a different story. And I think understanding those personas and speaking to them in a way that resonates is what will help. Having said that, my question is something I've thought about today while I've listened to a few of the panels is, if AI is moving in our direction, how do we humanize? And storytelling, we think is the most important thing. How do we humanize the kind of those elements in the fintech space?
That's a great question, and that's the panel today, is how we make it more human and authentic. So maybe, Lucas, we can touch upon that.
I think this is probably one of the most critical questions for communications professionals and marketeers. In the age of AI, you can scale, but can you go deep enough? Can you connect? Can you create intimate relationships of relatedness, of connection with your customers? And going back to the roots of what makes a human connection human is really the way forward, we believe. I'll give you an example. I've mentioned the new current account of Zopa called Biscuit. We called it Biscuit just for that reason. A biscuit is something relatable that you consume in a kind of good time with yourself. It's a regular habit, and also it gives you the right to start talking about things like juicy rates, or more dough with less effort, tasty rates, and so on and so forth. In fact, for the launch of Biscuits campaign, we hired Grace Dent, a renowned food critic and MasterChef presenter. And the intention there was to reconnect, obviously, the core product proposition that, as I've described earlier, comes with a lot of value and ease, but reconnected with the human component and the experience of being exposed to Biscuit. And I think it's this type of storytelling that is probably going to cut through in the future, especially as we're looking at more AI, not less, in the next couple of years.
Amazing. And then last but not least, Alex, from your perspective, from a creative perspective, how can we tell more compelling stories with this new technology coming in with AI and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the thought behind Biscuit as well. This is fantastic. So just to touch really quickly on authenticity, that's really, really important to us as well. And we encourage all our partners and all the brands that we work with to talk about the challenges with AI as well, but just challenges in general when it comes to their product. People want to know what the journey's been like, so we don't always want to sugarcoat stuff. We want to be honest and authentic. The other thing that we do is there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people won't see. So, for example, our design team, when we say we want to make an atypical series when it comes to finance, something not dry, something more lively, more colourful, our design team come up with certain fonts, certain colours. So all of it kind of comes together. And also, as you've seen in some of the films, we use 360 cameras that are very immersive, or we use straight interview sliders for movement. So all of this comes together behind the scenes to create somewhere that people want to be, that they feel is authentic but interesting, and just creatively a nice space to sit in.
And relatable, so I can relate to the people, so the people's stories. I think we're out of time, but I think we did great. Thank you, everybody, from this panel, and thank you, everybody, to stay until the very end for the very best panel of IFGS. Thank you, everybody, and let's have some drinks, I think, upstairs in the exhibitor hall. Let's enjoy some closing drinks.
Yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
Roberto.